health is clearly is a precondition for any effort to make a development, either individually or for the society. And so I think that it is not by chance that so many goals are built around health.
In fact, something like half the Millennium Development Goals,
yes,
I think,
indeed, yes,
have to do with health.
Yes, my hope was at least a 2/3.
To reduce poverty, many other things have to happen first, and most importantly, health has to improve, because better health leads to more wealth. And so the big health tragedies like AIDS, TB, and malaria have to be beaten back if poverty is to reduce.
Still here? Yes. Oh, look at that. Good morning, everybody.
In Kenya, a church orphanage run by Father Agostinho for children whose mothers died of AIDS. It's a model project, but sadly there are few like it. Antiretroviral drugs, ARVs, of the kind used here can help people with AIDS, but few poor Africans can afford them. There are now international programs to distribute ARV drugs, but critics say there's no clear agreement who's in charge of the global war on AIDS.
Who is actually responsible for delivering the Millennium Development Goal on AIDS?
Well, many people, and that might sound like a confusion and a weak answer, but I think it's the right answer and it's a good thing.
Doesn't many people mean nobody in practice?
Well, that's the danger. That's the danger. That's what we have to guard against.
Target 7 is sustainable development, more controversial than it might seem. For in practice, development increasingly means urbanization and slums. Citizens in countries like Kenya are voting with their feet. Incredibly, they often prefer to take their chances in the slums of Nairobi than to endure poverty in the remote countryside. And yet, across the world, governments have failed to recognize that so many people want to live in cities, no matter how squalid they may seem.
History shows that the entire civilization, global civilization, is moving towards urbanization. Cities are the engines of national economic growth. Cities are where everything is happening. So encouraging urbanization and urban growth is actually a positive thing. It's not a negative thing.
How many governments are actually planning for and encouraging urbanization?
Unfortunately, very few.
The Chinese government, with its history of central control, is one of the few governments actually promoting urbanization in some regions as a way of relieving rural poverty. Elsewhere, in Kailicha in South Africa, for example, urbanization is a more unplanned affair, leading to pressure on sanitation and safe water. MDG 7 aims to halve the number of people without safe water and to improve the lives of at least 100 million slum dwellers, this time by 2020.
Slowly, we're beginning to see this recognition. In the Millennium Development Goals, we have a target that indicates that one of the things we hope to do is to change the lives of slum dwellers. And I think this is the beginning of a change in the way the world begins to view developing country cities. And I think it is a positive thing.
You know, when we are talking about slums, we have two types of slums. We have what we call slums of hope and slums of despair. And our view is that the majority of slums in the world are actually slums of hope, because fundamentally because of the willingness of slum residents to improve their own accommodation. They just need a few things in place. I'm thinking here of water, I'm thinking of sanitation. These are the critical ingredients or missing ingredients in slums.
Removing the obstacles to development will also involve the rich countries meeting some tough targets. Like many poor farmers in the developing world, dairy producers in the Caribbean suffer from what they see as unfair trade practices by the rich world. Farmers in Jamaica complain they can't compete with subsidized powdered milk shipped in from countries like the Netherlands.
2/3 of the world poor, live in rural areas and depend on agriculture or activities related to agriculture. As long as rich countries subsidize their own production, leading to overproduction more than we can ever swallow at home, and then dump the surpluses subsidized on poor countries' markets, there is no chance that the first Millennium Goal, halving the number of poor people, will ever be reached. The moment we stop destroying local markets and farmers can get a fair price for their own cotton, for their milk, for their tomatoes they grow, etc., that would finance a lot. Then they can send their children to